Obviously, a lot of parity in the NBA. Do you like the absence of a lack of dynasties in the NBA right now?
It doesn't bother me. And even though I'm one of those guys, I grew up a diehard Yankees fan. It was the Yankees and the Knicks, right? I don't know what the hell happened with me with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first football play I ever saw was the Immaculate Reception by Franco Harris. And so because of that, I was a Steeler fan from the time I was a kid. That's why I was never a New York football fan. But in basketball and baseball, it's Knicks and Yankees all day, every day. Having said all of that, knowing that the Yankees were once those giants or whatever, I would tell you I would feel that way if we had a bunch, I don't want to say no names, but just, the guys that you just look at, you respected them, but none of them were box office. But when you got a cat like Ant-Man potentially getting to the NBA Finals, that changes it because that's the new blood you want to see. And so even though he said he wasn't interested in being a face, here's the bottom line. His game doesn't tell us that. His attitude on the basketball court doesn't tell us that.
True.
The combination of the two forces us to say we don't give a damn whether you want it or not. You gonna have it if you deliver because his game is that special. And the attitude, looking at cats, talking to them while he's busting there, you living, you know what. This is what we're talking about here. He brings that element. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is spectacular. I have said it from the beginning. I voted for him for MVP last year. I voted for him for MVP this year. And I believe this year he gets it. But he is like Marcus, Janae. He's like silky smooth, Like I call him the modern day upgraded version of George Gervin, the Iceman himself. This brother, Shai Gilgeous, got that kind of swag and attitude, but in the same breath is mellow. But you box office, there's only one person who's allowed to be mellow, and that was Carmelo. That was it. Everybody else, we don't want the mellow. We want that swag that Ant-Man brings to the table. And that's why I don't have a problem with the absence of the quote-unquote dynasty. New blood is coming, and I don't mind.
And it's cool because you've got a little bit of fire and ice, and Edwards with the fire, ice, cool, calm, collected SGA. But when I think about the lack of dynasties, I don't have an issue with it because we're witnessing maybe the end of I know that for sure, generation of hoopers. KD, Steph, LeBron, they're trying to hold on and milk the most out of their prime. And what happens in that time? You see the proliferation of many young stars like Ant-Man, like SGA, like what we're seeing if Victor Wembanyama was able to remain healthy for the rest of the year. There's so many players, Paolo Banchero, Cade Cunningham, they're coming, and they can still take down teams that we've seen over the course of regular season. So I have no issue with more parity.
I agree 100%. I think the young guys just got the ball right now. Like, they're stepping up to the plate, and I got to go with SA. Like, I'm a big fan of Ant-Man. Like, I think he's the face of the game. You still got guys like Jason Tatum, he's going to come back from his injury. But the way that Ant-Man is so confident and just aggressive and just nonstop talking just in your face, like, that's what I like. I like that old school mentality that want the matchup, asking for the matchup, and going to tell you, I'm going to bust your when we come out here, and it's going to be a back-and-forth game. Like, I love that. I think that's great for the game. And then you got SGA where it's not a lot of talking. It's just a bunch of game. He's created a lane for himself. He has a young team. He was able to carry them and make them the best team in the NBA this year. So that dynamic is going to be like a sight to see that come in the future, right? But Ant Edwards, to me, Ant Edwards is the face.
That Western Conference Final is going to be a lot of fun. Stephen A., you're covering that, right?
Yes, I am. We have to go out there. I have to travel there today. Let me say this real quick. There's something very important that Ant-Man is bringing to the table
and then
that old school needs to embrace. I know we got to roll. We usually abhor the friendliness, and we want the volatility. We want to know that you can't stand the enemy and stuff like that. He's changing that, Molly, and the rest of y'all, because here's why. He's good friends, whether it's Steph, it's LeBron, it's anybody. KD and them, he's got love for these cats, except for when he's on the court against them. And we don't mind because we see how he goes at them. So we don't mind the affection that he shows for them before and after the game, because for those 48 minutes or more, he goes at them. And listen, it's unbelievable from the standpoint, the greatness of Jalen Brunson has come shining through. and we've seen other guys for the Knicks step up, and you got to give credit where credit is due. I'm not some delusional, nauseating fan like Dallas Cowboy fans can be, where I'm completely detached from reality. You know we're gonna win the Super Bowl next year, right? No, we're gonna do it. No, this is not that kind of party. I recognize the fact that for the vast majority of this series, the Boston Celtics just missed shots. I listened to Marcus on Get Up earlier when he was talking about 63 of those 100-plus three-point shots they attempted in the series were wide open. And that's something, if you remember, Molly, I kept bringing up in the aftermath of Game 2 being down 0-2. Of the first 100 threes that they attempted, 48 of them were considered wide open. And for those out there who don't know what wide open means when it comes to NBA parlance, 6 feet or beyond, that's the kind of space a defender is giving you. You're wide open. And that's what happened to the Boston Celtics. So I'm aware of the fact that they just weren't making shots. I'm aware of the fact that they didn't step up in Game 6 after, obviously Tatum was out and out for Game 5. What they did in Game 5, they didn't do in Game 6. But in the end, a victory is a victory. And the Knicks' grit and the Knicks' guts deserves credit. Karl Anthony Towns getting on me saying, you got on me twice. And I said to him, damn it, didn't it work both times? Because it worked in Game 6. Jalen Brunson came up to me and was like this. I'm not going to even say anything to you, because he's reminded me of the fact that I didn't even think that he was worthy of being drafted in the NBA years ago. So, I mean, that's something that he always throws at me. It's all in fun. It's all love. I deserve it because, damn it, I was calling them to the carpet, partially of urgency, but partially from paranoia, because I was scared they were going to blow this. I'm happy they didn't. I love the fact that they're in the conference finals. They got a legitimate shot to get to the championship round. We know this. But in the end, I'm not going to be foolhardy and ignore the fact that the New York Knicks were benefited by the fact that the Boston Celtics didn't change their stripes. They just attempted to shoot, and they just were not making shots. Yeah. And that was a big difference in this series.
Yeah.
Marcus?
I mean, I think the Tatum thing, like when they lost Tatum, it was – it was tough, but them first 2 games, I got to keep putting my finger on that. Like being up 20 at home in the playoffs, the defending champs, and just having that capability to be able to get shots where they want. But like those shots were open, right? Like those shots were open, but still the Knicks had to still win the game. And we were talking about that earlier. Like, yes, they did miss open shots, but the Knicks still had to complete the comeback. And I think you have to take your hats off that. Like, it's extremely hard to win in Boston during the playoffs. Like, that is one of the tougher plays outside of the Garden. That's probably top 2 or 3, right? To be able to come back from down 20 is the most impressive thing I've seen in this playoff in years.
So you know what's crazy? I finally get it now, Stephen A. Marcus Molly. I understand it. You see the T-shirts, you hear the phrase, I love New York. I'm like, oh, I get it now. The energy is completely different. Give me that T-shirt at the airport. Because this team didn't win based off of analytics. They didn't win off of a proliferation of threes. They didn't win based off of having one player that just goes bonker. It was a we got mentality. And being in the Garden alongside Stephen A., watching all the shenanigans happen, it was truly a special environment, and I want to appreciate the fans. It feels like every one of the fans gets screened. Do you know this Knicks history? Like, this was a basketball audience, and they literally were trying to will their team to a win, and their team delivered. If you think about it, like, what Jalen Brunson, it was like changing your stripes. Sometimes he's ball dominant, but knowing that he had to get his teammates involved, that's what we saw. Josh Hart had a triple-double, like 11, 10, and 10. I thought that the Knicks actually won the game in the first 5 minutes when they decided to go to Karl Anthony Towns and tell him to be aggressive on both